Actually, now that I have the recording on, if you don't mind, Mike, would you mind telling that story you just told us again? Because we've got Mike Benedict, Travis Cook, both NLL players, are professional lacrosse players, lots of lacrosse experience, and Nathan Jobson, the owner of the Thousand Island Spirits, and this is their coaching staff. And Mike was just telling me a really great story, I think, of how he got involved.
Yeah, I was just telling when that what I was talking about. I'm friends with Nathan on the on social media, and I was reading this thing he shared about the Thousand Island Spirits. So, and then all of a sudden, I saw this email, and it said, "Email us if you'd like to help." And so I kind of submitted a quick resume and said, I got a lot of knowledge for the box game and stuff. And Nathan emails me back and says, "Hey, I know your name. I played with Alex and I played with Tyler Hill, and we're good friends and stuff, and they know about you and this and that." And he says, let's talk a little bit. So we had a little bit of an interview over the phone, and then maybe a day or two later, he made the announcement on social media, and then he said, my assistant coach is going to be named soon. So he was telling me he was gearing for Travis, and I was like, that'd be a hell of an assistant coach right there.
Yeah, it's
So and it,
unbelievable, and the talent. So I'm very new to the box game, so I've just been kind of learning on the fly and as I go. So I did a quick Google search of actually Travis first, and this happened a few months ago. Somebody told me you need to have Travis Cook on, and then come to find out, somebody told me they're like, oh, that's Alex's dad. And I, even with the same last name, I just hadn't put it together. And then I start googling you, and I was like, wow, Nate's got really the all-star team of coaches going into the season. I mean, that is impressive. Now, if you don't mind, uh, Travis, would you mind giving us a little of your background?
Well, I grew up back there at St. Regis, Akwesasne, and I started playing there many years ago. I played with Mike's dad, as a matter of fact. He was a very great player in his day, and was an inspiration to me. I think we wanted to all be like Mike because Mike was a very, very powerful, fast, aggressive. He was just a little dynamo, and he had this habit of running people over. And you would think, okay, here's this little guy, and he would come up the floor and just, impose his will on people. But he was just the nicest man. We got to be very good friends and played a lot together. And I played for St. Regis, and then I went to school at Oswego, and I played a little bit of college ball at Oswego. And actually, when I got to Oswego, they started a club team at Oswego, which is now a Division III team, and it was fun. I enjoyed that, and I played at Onondaga for a while, and then eventually a pro league came along in the mid '70s, and I figured, hey, it's time to really step up and give this a whirl because we'd never had an opportunity to play against the best players, and this was something new, and it was going to be played in some of the best arenas around. So I was very, very interested in playing and put my name up, and really had a great time. I enjoyed the 2 years, and the first year was playing in Syracuse was a little rugged, but we had great talent. We just couldn't put it together, and I think that's partly a combination of issues with the coaching and with the players. It was just the coaches changed a couple times during the season, and it's really difficult. I think when you have consistency, it means a lot. And we had uh, we had a core group of great players, and the next year it really panned out because we went and we were the champions the next year when we played up in Quebec City. So I've been around the game a bunch, like Mike has. Mike started as a very young guy, I'm sure, playing up on the res up north, and um, back then when I started, they didn't really have a minor system or anything like that. It was just guys getting together, and and eventually we did get a like a bantam team together. I think that was the very first team we had, and it's a beautiful story. It really is. Akwesasne is a very, very talent laden area of lacrosse. So I'm just happy to have this opportunity. Also, I think it's great. I'm pleased to be alongside of Mike and try to share what we know and hopefully do well.
That's awesome. Now, real quick before we get to Mike, Aquasasne, I've noticed there is I had never heard of Aquasasne before I got into box lacrosse, and now all I hear is that. And then I had a chance at Laxnai to watch their youth teams. Wow, they didn't disappoint. And then going to meet a lot of these PBLA players, a bunch of them are from there as well. I wasn't too surprised to hear it now. I'm starting to get used to it. But Mike, if you wouldn't mind, if you could give us a little bit of your background coming from that area.
Yeah, sure. I grew up. Still here in Akwesasne and on the Mohawk Nation, and I started playing lacrosse. Like Travis said, we didn't have organized minor lacrosse back then, so I was like 4 years old doing backyard ball with my dad. And my dad, like Travis said, my dad was a great player, and I watched Travis play. I watched my dad play. Bruce Rompoint, all these legends. If you Google his name too, like I grew up watching these guys play and just try to copy their moves and do what I can. I think it was around I was when I was 15 when we got our first midget team here. Ernie Mitchell, another great goaltender, CLA Hall of Famer, coached us through midgets and juniors. And then I went off to Ottawa, Gloucester Griffins, played junior B there under the OLA in Ontario. And then from there, we ended up. My uncle Frankie started a senior B league here, a men's league, and there was 9 teams, I believe. And Travis was well in his 40s, and he played. I played against him. He played for Oneida, and so I was just up and coming, and it was like we would play Oneida and see Travis on the floor. It's like, oh my God, this guy played with my dad. I mean, and he's now I'm getting the opportunity here. So, but it's things like that, and then Barry Paulus got a coaching job with the Rochester Nighthawks, and he gave me a call at the end of the year and said they had this new expansion team in the Major Indoor Lacrosse League is what it was called then. He says, and I'd like for you to come try out. So there was I think 3 of us from here that went down and tried out, and I was fortunate enough to make the roster, and that's what basically kicked off my pro career. Through I played 3 years with Rochester, and then from there I ended up in Syracuse with the Syracuse Smash when they changed the name from the MILL to the NLL, and we were allowed to wear shorts now instead of the spandex that we used to wear. So, so and so from there, it's like I bounced around like any new expansion teams. It was nice because at first you're wondering, why am I getting traded every year, every year, every year? And I had a good talk with a good friend of mine, Darius Kilgore. And Darius Kilgore says, you know what? He says, you're a lefty. Teams need lefties. You're one of the veterans of the league. You can put up 30 goals. He said, these new teams are going to build off you, and you're going to help them develop these teams. And so it was nice, like, to hear that. And all of a sudden, the travel wasn't so bad anymore. But they took care of you. They booked your flights wherever you were. I was ironworking actually. I was in New Jersey, and they would fly me out of Jersey into like Calgary, fly me back home to Montreal, and then that Sunday right back to work again for the week. So it was kind of I did my tour and played 9 full seasons, and the knees started going bad, and now that they're replaced and I can't play anymore, I want to give back, and it's a great opportunity to try to give back to the game, and hopefully help Nathan out here, and get this team to be a mainstay in Alex Bay, and draw the fans, and put some exciting action on the floor.
Absolutely. And kind of to your point there, I've got your stats pulled up on the other screen. And as you can see, you went through the league and you kind of embraced that I'm going to be the leader of these young guys. And all of a sudden, your stats go way up towards the end of your career. Kind of showing, like you said, that you took that lesson and really held on to it. And I think that, as a coach, that kind of shows that you're willing, you have an idea of the way it works. I mean, Nathan, you got to be pretty excited by landing these 2 studs for your coaches.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Like I'm just along for the ride at this point. Just got to put everything together so they can do what they got to do. So it's pretty exciting. There's a buzz in the air up here, even in the Watertown area already. I know that I've been reached out by a bunch of guys from Akwesasne too. So, the word's out there. Exciting, and I can't wait, man. It's all I do is family, work, Thousand Island Spirits, man. That's my day every day.
Yeah,
So
it's got to be a full time job. I mean, now going into this with a brand new team, like you said, you guys aren't too far from Akwesasne, and you also Watertown is a huge hub of outdoor lacrosse players, and it really seems
yeah,
like you're bringing something that's been long overdue to come there. But it takes people like you willing to give back, people like Mike, like you said, you guys are giving back. People don't appreciate always how much time it takes. Like you're going to be an hour drive. I'm not sure, Travis, how far it is for you to get to Alex Bay, but either way, like just this level is what grows leagues, and I would like to say thank you guys for making the NABLL a better league.
yeah, no,
You're
and that
welcome.
that was the goal, man. Like, and all this, like you, me, all of this exists because of Paul, and Utica, and like I'm not gonna deny that. Like, if there's no Paul Necker and no Utica Yeti, there's no Thousand Island Spirits, there's no Blue Squatch Productions.
No,
Like, so everything that we've done, I attribute to him, and I talked to him before I even did all this, and I can't thank him enough for being supportive and just being the guy he is, because we wouldn't have this opportunity. So Watertown's excited about it. I got guys that haven't played in 15, 20 years now. Who knows what happens? Maybe they still got it, maybe they don't. But the interest is there, and that's what matters.
well, one thing Mike said when he got to play with Travis, like how big of a moment that was, and I think that's something that's underrated about the NABLL. I mean, I literally got to film Neil Paulus and make highlights. For me, that's like
Yeah.
wow. And guys, like you said, that are in this league, I think a lot of guys will be surprised with guys that haven't played 15, 20 years, guys getting closer to 40, what they still have for energy and talent out there. Because I tell you, Neil's good for 3 goals a game.
Yeah, we're not going to say. I mean, closer to 40 is a nice thing to say about Neil. Um, so that's a compliment. I'm
Yeah,
sure he appreciates that.
yeah.
Yeah.
He might be closer to the next level there.
He's closer to
And
50.
Yeah.
and he's out there crushing it and going fast and teaching guys how to play. And that's really what the league's about. And I saw, like, you did your interview with the NABLL, and I think, what is it, 1/3 of the players in the PBLA are coming from the NABLL. So this is not just a league of guys messing around. There's real potential to play professional. And this summer and during the summers is your opportunity to build the game and get your skills and learn from guys like Mike and Travis. And I don't, I think the PBLA has some good coaches, but I like mine better.
When you look through
Thank you.
the resume of you two, because when he first told me, he goes, "I've got the 2 coaches," and then I had just found out that you were Alex's dad, so that made complete sense. But I'd already done a ton of research onto you as far as because I was trying to hook up with the podcast. So the more I read, and then all of a sudden I was like, Mike Benedict, okay, let me. Oh wow, that's his resume as well. Yeah, you guys stack up definitely with any coaching staff, I think, in the pro level right now with your experience in lacrosse. And yeah, what now? Like Nate was talking about a third of the players came from the NABLL. What are you guys most excited about getting to coach in this style of league, where it's more about like the fun, but there's also the competitive edge where guys are getting pro looks after only getting experience from getting to play with guys like Alex and Neil and Ty and Nate and guys who understand the box game.
I think, like, basically we use this as a stepping stone. This is your first step. This is where you got your foot in the door. Now we're going to show you what it takes to get to that next level, and we're going to we're going to teach you the game offensively, defensively. Systems, running offensive systems, pick and rolls, running power play, man up, man down situations. There's going to be different things to learn. And the one thing I like is that the Watertown based players, the field players and stuff, they're so eager to learn, these guys, and they come in, field lacrosse players, they come in great shape. There's no question about that. The U.S. players always come in great shape. Where you take the Canadian guys and the native guys, we come in, we know the game. We know the game already. We know that it's going to be an offensive game, defensive game. So, and now they're just starting to they're starting to train every day. And these American guys, that's what they do. They live for that game. They run the whole field. So you put them in a box, you slow the game down for them a little bit, give them a little knowledge, and watch them take off. And that's the biggest thing right there is to teach these guys the offensive game or the box game, rather than the offensive end and the defensive end. And right now, transition players, guys who can score and guys who can play some hard nosed D, are like diamonds in the rough. Like you find those guys, those are the guys you need on your team and stuff like that. So, and you just like my dad always said, I can't teach you to score, but I can show you how to get there.
That's wise
Yep.
advice there. And I think for me, I think the whole thing is getting new talent, people that don't really have the background of playing this game and being able to kind of mold these players. But it all comes from the players themselves. I mean, if you have to be willing to run and learn and to take some constructive criticism, but it's all in the under the guise of making us a better club. We want to be a competitive club. We want to be able to transition the ball up the floor, and there are really ways to do that. And it's not always um, everybody running to the bench. I would like our people to have our players to have the willingness to move the ball up the floor or move up the floor without having the ball, because you want to open space, create space to move the ball from the defensive end to the offensive end, and then it's getting off and turning it over to the offensive guys. But there's a real strategy in getting the ball up the floor, and I hope people are willing to come into this new experience with an open mind, and they're ready to work and learn. And I think we're going to have a good time while we're at it.
Yeah, I think you guys nailed it. Like you said, a stepping stone is what I've heard so many people describe this as, and I think it really sums it up best. But one thing Travis touched on is the getting the space in the box. So somebody like me who only followed field lacrosse, it doesn't ever look like there's space to me. I think like some of the passes I'll see, like Nate and Alex and Ty pull off together when they're working around and like hitting the back door, and to me I'm like that guy's not open. But then you watch him catch it or quick stick it into the goal, and you're like, how?
Hmm.
That's the experience with the box players. Their ability to catch ball in traffic. And like you watch the NLL games, and they set a pick and roll, and then they go to the middle of the net, the middle of the in front of the net, and there's sticks all over them and everything, and they still manage to catch that ball and get a good shot on the goal. That's the one thing that you have to teach these kids is going to the net and having your stick up and eye on the ball, and be willing to catch the ball, turn and shoot, and at the same time take that hit and get up and get back in position and do it again. So and that's the biggest thing is teaching these kids to do that. So and that's why we're here.
It
That's
comes from trust too. If you're a feeder, you've got to trust that he's going to get it, and you don't have to be wide open. I mean, it's just a little bit of you're open on one side, get that ball there. Trust the guy's going to catch it, boom, and it turns into a goal. So
Yeah, and a lot of it is angles. It's just understanding that your stick is eyes, and the angles are a lot different from where you're releasing the ball from what you may see. In the stands, you don't see the angles we're seeing on the floor, and as a player, you don't see the angles that your stick can see, and you have to. That stick is an extension of your body, so if what's open, you can do some pretty cool things. And like you said, like I know you've seen me do some wild stuff. It works sometimes and it doesn't, but it's all about angles, man. If I see an inch, I'm throwing it. And I trust the guy's going to catch it. I don't care who it is, and I do it at every level. If I'm, playing pickup with 12-year-olds and they're open, I stick it in there. And that's what gets everybody better.
absolutely yeah. I think honestly, Alex is the best example of that I've ever seen as far as changing the angle because he's so long.
Yeah.
The way he took what a goal I thought a goalie was in position and completely changed that for me because I was like, why is he even shooting that? And then after you watch him enough, you're like, oh, I get it because he's not actually shooting where he's standing. He's shooting almost 2 feet over because he's so tall as he's reaching over to the side, and Yeah, it's one of my favorite moves now is when they peed it over to him, the goalie steps towards him, and he reaches right back around and then throws it right back to that same direction. I think, like you said, the trust in knowing that, like, if you rifle it to him, he's catching and shooting. Or like some of the quick sticks that you guys throw, it's nothing like I've ever seen with a stick. Like you would have to bring it back. Whereas you're watching it, almost looks like they're slapping it. But if you know, like from watching them, or I have the ability to slow it down on replay, you see, oh, he didn't slap that at all. He actually felt that for maybe like a half inch and then fired it out.
That really emanates, I believe, from the field game where quick sticks were just the thing. I mean, when I was playing in high school, which is many years ago, that's one of the things you had to be able to do. And when I came from playing box lacrosse. I didn't have that, but it didn't take long to learn how to quick stick, and you realize what an advantage it is to be able to do that. And the ball can be passed two or three times in just almost a blink, and it's beautiful to watch. So I think the fans in the Thousand Islands area, Watertown, they're going to just be treated to some good, fast action, and people don't stand still, and that's critical. I mean, it's the beauty of our game. Everybody's moving, and it makes for a great competition and a wonderful sport.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. The beauty of it, I think, is one of the most underrated things. Everybody always says they want to watch the physicality, but to really watch an offense in motion. Yeah, like one of my favorites is Jobson throws a fake pass that when we first started filming the Yetis, we would miss all the time because the camera would just start following it, and then you started to learn, okay, this guy might not actually be throwing the ball. And I think that comes from the how much time have you been playing box, Nate? You have a lot more box experience than some of your teammates had, though.
Well, yes, them. No, I mean for really 8 years. It hasn't been that long, you know. I started playing like in 2014. It's the field game really that I don't know. You know, I was faster in college, but as I got older, you slow down a little bit, and you have to find a way to create space and still be able to compete. And a little thing like that, and just have that stuff, just helps you. It's helpful in the box game sometimes, but not as much, honestly. Like I get away with it, but and you don't see that as much, I don't think. So I just try to do something to keep myself competitive. It's not nothing special.
Make sure you can make it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the fastest of men, but my stick speaks for itself. I do have a decent stick, I guess, but that just keeps me competitive. That's the only reason I can play still. It's not because of my stature, my physical conditions. It's because my stick is good enough, and eventually that's going to wear off. So I have to either get in better shape or stop playing.
The stick skills never wear off. Trust me.
Well, that's good news. I feel like my
Hey,
stick's getting better every day.
let me just say something about Mike. What a flash when he was playing. I mean, he's got he confessed that he's got two replaced knees. I bet he's still fast. He was a very, very fast moving player when he was in his prime. So he's still fast.
Thanks, Travis. Thanks.
It's one of my favorite parts of box lacrosse is taking the team now. This team, you guys will get to see a wide variety of athletes, I'm sure, showing up for it. Now, are you guys looking more for like what is the biggest thing that as you take field players and try to turn them into box players, like what is the most important first step? Do you guys think?
I think it's buying into the team concept, and the dedication. Watertown's a bit of a drive, but at the same time, you want to learn this game. There's sacrifice. I mean, when I played in Rochester, I was driving 4.5 hours for a practice from 9 to 11 on a Wednesday night, and then driving home, getting home at 3:30 in the morning, getting up to go to work at 8. Like it's you got to put your mind and your heart where your dedication. It's there. I want to be here. This is what I want to do to get to that next level. To make a name for myself, to bring home a championship, however it may be, PBLA, NLL, wherever it may be. Buy in, and listen to the coaching. These guys are here for a reason, and we're going to help you grow your game.
The nuances of the game, or of the difference in the games, is what really makes a great player. The player who comes with it to us with an open mind, is willing to learn, because what you do out in the outdoor game, in the field game, is not necessarily going to be functionally as efficient as you were outdoors. You're in a confined area. Things are going to happen quicker. You can't, time is of the essence. So you've got to be able to react, anticipate, be able to move, go to the right area. You don't necessarily need the ball to do the right thing. You've Because when you move to an open space, somebody's got to follow you. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
going to be wide open. So you just have to be able to recognize the situation, and they're going to be different. There's less people on the floor. The space is smaller. However, get to the open spaces and make the defense respect you, move over to you, and you're going to create an opening for someone else. So it's just the little nuances, the little tricks, and you learn as you go. But again, we need people that are going to buy in and work hard. I think if they
Yeah,
do that, I think we're going to be successful.
yeah. And for me, it's really the commitment. If I think, and I don't, we haven't discussed it really, but if we have one guy that's super talented, but he's not committed, maybe can't make everything, missing some things. We're an adult, it's an adult league, that happens. But if we have a guy that's there working hard every day, that we think can improve, that is going to put in the commitment and be there, I think that's going to mean more to us than just a guy with pure skill. Granted, we want the skilled players, but you need to be committed too. This is a season. It's not just a beer league. It's a league that's very legitimate, and you can get some great opportunities from it. So people that want to play need to take it seriously. You need to come out, really give it your all, and be committed to making it to practices and games. It's That's really what I'm going to look for, obviously, at my level, and it is commitment. Guys that are willing to be there. Mike and Travis will pick the skilled players they want. We just need to make sure they're committed and take this very seriously, because it's not a joke. And honestly, commitment is the how I made the team at Utica. I just kept going. You just keep going and you put in effort. And there might have been a couple guys that had more skill, but they weren't as committed as me. And that's really what I'm looking for: commitment. These guys will teach you how to play. You just got to show up.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories about Utica was you not making the team originally, continuing to show up to practice every day, and then you've got the hottest stick in nationals for the team. I mean, like you said, that dedication uh, really proves. I mean, you had a little extra motivation there too. You were really, but I
Yeah,
mean, for them to make sure commitment is a priority, you're living proof that that's why.
yeah. It's really important to me, man, that people that want to be involved are committed. And I think that some of the field guys around here that might be hesitant or think, "Oh, I don't probably don't have a chance." You really do. You do have an opportunity to come and play. Um, it's just that simple. You have an opportunity to come and play. I saw it in Utica, some guys that were clearly field players and really developed into decent box players, and they had opportunities to play professional, and some of them are. Like, that's huge, and this league can give you the same thing: field to box to professional. It's crazy, honestly, what it's done.
Yeah, a third
You
of
know,
the close to a third of the players are there. I'm sorry to cut you off. What?
can I? Yeah, I'd like to add that come with an open mind, and you will learn. And I think what you bring to the table is, I think you're going to, the field players in general are, like Mike stated earlier, they're in super condition. And that is such an important element of the game today. The game is moving up and down the floor. So I think just being willing to learn, willing to give, and again, we're going to take the players that are really going to be most contributors to the success of the team. It's not our friends. It's not this or that. It's people that are going to work, are willing to work. And again, it's attitude, and that's easy to spot. You know a player who's out there and who's really giving what he's got. And again, having that patience and be, just to trust yourself, and because you're going to be, it's a new experience. We know that. We understand that. We're going to be doing the best we can to help you. And it's, to talk about is one thing. I just can't wait to get moving on it, though. We got to
Yeah,
get the guys in and get on the floor, and let's make it happen.
It's got to be the anticipation waiting for the season to roll off. Has got to be.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing open floors up there at all?
yeah, that'll start in the turf's going down the first or second week in March. Um, so once that happens, we'll have some availability, and I'll try probably once a week to do like open tryouts. It's like $10 a week. Guys come in, you play. And I know the first couple weeks of that are probably going to be a little bit of teaching. This is how box is played. Kind of quick 5-10 minute tutorial before we go out and run. Um, and we'll do that leading up to tryouts, which I think I'm going to do tryouts on April 16th. It's a Sunday. That's kind of my aim. And honestly, another thing we're doing, the town asked me to do, was to host a preseason kind of a showcase of what box lacrosse is, and they want me to do that pretty soon after the turf is down. So near the end of March, beginning of April, I'm not sure what night I'm going to do it, but I'm inviting like the Utica Yeti and Oswego Riverhawks to just come up and we'll throw two teams together and just play. So like we want to show the town what box lacrosse is. So the town's going to do that for free. So people can come in for free. They're giving us the time for free. So like it should be a good little time, maybe on a Friday night, maybe or something. I don't know. That'll come soon. Um, but so they can see what the game's about. And I want to bring in guys that played. Yes, maybe there's a couple guys from here that I'll throw on there, but I want to bring in some guys that have some experience that can truly what to expect.
Yeah, you want a nice, talented showing.
Right.
Yeah. Make it exciting for the fans. You happen to know a couple guys that can score some goals, so I don't think you'll have too much of a problem there.
Yeah, we know play.
Uh, my question is though, with the PBLA playoffs running through April, you're not worried about the tryout date?
I might do another one, obviously, because I thought about that and I understand that the rules have changed. Uh, so we can have PBLA players, and quite frankly, I already know that I have some PBL players that want to play and that are more than likely. I mean, I don't want to assume people are on the team because I haven't created a roster. That's not happening. But you have a good idea of what guys have a high potential of making it and which guys don't. And they all have to try out at some point. So I'll probably have a secondary one. But my initial one I want to do right then, middle of April. And you don't know if their team makes playoffs or not either. So, like I don't know. We don't know what to expect from that league. But the problem is our season starts the first week of June, possibly the second. Um, so I know it sounds silly, but you have to make jerseys. They take 4 weeks to make. So I have to have a team really before the first week of May if I can. So, we'll have to make adjustments, I'm sure. But, that's just a little thing that as a GM, I guess I'm learning, and you got to think about. These are the things I have to worry about. Simple stuff like getting a jersey made, with someone's name on it. Because your name's going to be on the jersey. Like this season was the first competitive season I've played in sports where my name was on the back of my jersey. Like that might be a little thing, but that was a big deal. It's
It's
a big
a
deal to represent yourself as well.
it's a huge deal, and I think what you're bringing to the table, though, more than that professional experience, is the coaching of these two guys. This is not something that is a resource to guys that want to make it to professional that is not available to everybody. And there's only a couple teams in the NABLL that have that afforded to them. I think that's a huge step. I think you picked two great guys. Yeah. What is the best way to get in touch with the team and you to sign up and to get involved?
Right now it's just on Facebook. So if you go to our team's Facebook page, Thousand Island Spirits, at the top there's some pinned posts. On those pinned posts, there's different things like there's an entry to win some gear people can sign up for. There's youth. There's a page for youth like called Junior Spirits because we're trying to start something with that too. There's the NABLL. It says that to sign up to play, be a sponsor, or volunteer. Because with game production things like that, it's only 4 or 5 times, but you need people. You need people to sell the tickets. You need people to run the clock. You need people to do stats. And first year league with no budget. We gotta find a way to find people that are willing to come and commit. So to get as much help as we can. And hopefully we can get to a point where I could throw some people some money, obviously for their efforts, but really people that are willing first, and then hopefully by the end of the season, we do something for them.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. You guys,
commitment in the team is what we need.
it takes a volunteer effort, like we've talked so many times. Like people's parents starting junior box lacrosse leagues or teams so guys can play. You guys willing
Yeah.
to do this? Now we've been a half hour already, which is hard to believe. It's gone so fast. But before we let everybody go, Mike, what would you like to tell any of the players you're really looking for when they come to camp? Like if you've got a couple guys that are you really looking for people to be in shape, and then you can kind of help refine the lacrosse skills, but you want to see people who came ready and prepared, or what is it exactly that you're?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've discussed the field player, the box player, stuff like that. But the main thing is you got to come here and come ready to work. Once that whistle blows and we start getting going, you need to be in shape. You can't use the tryouts to get in shape. You need to come in shape. Get out there and run. Get your gym memberships. Play some lacrosse, indoor lacrosse in the bubbles or wherever it may be. Wall ball, whatever it takes. But definitely come in ready to work because like Nate said, we're only going to have maybe 1 or 2 tryouts and then we got to pick our team. So you can't just come in and say, well, you know what, I'm just going to base this on my skill and expect to make the team. No, you're coming in ready to work.
It's awesome. And Travis, you?
I can't agree more. I think he said it all right there. I mean,
Yeah.
we want people to come in, be ready, be prepared. Um, we're going to teach you, but we need people that are ready to go and willing to learn, willing to make the sacrifice. Because your expectations and what are going to be different than what you're going to be encountering with us. We're going to teach you something new. Come ready, and you're going to be farther ahead because that's the name of the game: is being in condition, and we'll build off that.
That's awesome. I talked to Travis a little bit about it earlier. Mike, the same goes for you. I'd love to have you guys where I could sit with like an hour and a half and talk to you guys and kind of do those longer form podcasts. As I'm jumping into just the very little bit of research I've had time to do, you guys are absolute legends. And I know I appreciate what you guys are doing up there. Bringing that experience is something that can't really be bought and paid for because none of us could afford to actually pay you guys what you deserve and what you're bringing to the game. So thank you very much on behalf of all of us that are a part of the league.
Yeah, and what you're doing too, buddy.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
What you're doing for the game is important, Beecher. So don't stop doing this because this is good stuff, man. You're interviewing NLL players, interviewing PPL people. There's not really a big forum for box lacrosse, if I'm mistaken. So what you're doing is a good thing. So just keep doing that, man. And you can put this part back in. I definitely have the best coaches in the country. So no one denies that.
No,
There's no one can. So
I don't know if anybody's going to look through the. You can't. I mean,
yeah.
I would say NABLL, be ready for the Thousand Island Spirits. Good luck, because if they get guys in shape with this amount of knowledge to teach these guys the box game,
Yeah, we're gonna be trying.
You're looking like the early favorites. Just having coaching was such a huge advantage for the Yeti because you've got somebody standing up looking at it from a bird's eye view. That's not something all these teams have, but it's something you really need if you want to be successful.
Yeah, I'm okay with being an underdog though.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Everybody have a good work day and Happy New Year. And hopefully I get to actually
Appreciate it.
you guys soon, and I will definitely be sitting around.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Very good.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.